If you ever wanted to see why police officers advise against reckless driving, this is the ultimate list to make you think twice before speeding. One major reason to reconsider your furious driving skills is the following. It's not only your life that's in danger, you're also accountable for the lives of other drivers and families on the road. So without further ado, here are the top 10 deadliest car crashes. Let's dive right into it, shall we? Fast and Furious Demise. Now, before we jump into this list, here's a short warning. This video contains some graphic content. Some of the content you see in this video might be triggering to some. For the rest of you that stayed, please just watch this video and see if you can guess where the drive went wrong. Go on, we're waiting. There, did you see how the car was smashed into a million pieces from the speed alone? And can you guess what went wrong in this situation? That's right. The car was way too fast for the sandy surface upon which it was traveling. You see, when the driver tried to hit the brakes, he found it difficult to do so as the car started drifting onto an unstable surface, and before he knew it, his car was tumbling on the road like a tumbleweed in the wind. But it was much more dangerous than a tumbleweed because there must have been a driver inside that car. Number 9. Parking Pro. Now, we can't make up our mind about this next one. Here, take a look at this video and tell us what you think about it. See, now let's ask you a question. Do you think that was done on purpose, or was it just plain luck? Now, we understand that many people think that this kind of thing is crazy. But we have to admit that this is way too big of a coincidence, right? For one thing, as the camera clearly shows, the entire parking lot was filled with cars. And the chances of a crashing car landing on one empty spot of the entire parking lot are slim to none. But then again, if you look at the surveillance camera footage up close, you will see that this car had been wrecked even before jump slamming itself in the parking lot wall and doing a flip to land on the 2 free parking spots. And the crazy thing is, the crazy driver barely even dented any of the surrounding cars, so we still can't make up our mind about this. What do you think? Number 8. Truck in the wrong lane. Now, this is what we meant when we said reckless driving puts the lives of others in danger too. You see this guy? This guy was trying to zap past that truck, but things didn't go according to plan. He lost control of the wheel and his car went beneath the front of the truck. And at such a speed, even that wall wasn't enough to stop it. And the other driver, who was completely innocent, ended up in the middle of this disaster. In addition, the careless driver smashed his car on the side of the road, so you could say that this was instant karma. Now, if you don't support reckless driving, smash that like button so we know how many of us are actually out there. Number 7. Slammed like putty. Again, this is the reason why there are speed limits on the freaking road. Accidents happen even if you're following all the rules to the point, so just imagine what would happen if you decide to break them. For example, this surveillance camera caught something that shocked us to our core. The car slammed into the traffic light on the road so hard that it actually bent around it. While the traffic light exploded on impact, just imagine how much force you need to exert in order to bend metal like that. And we don't even want to think about the driver that's inside that vehicle. Let's just pray to God he's okay. Number 6. Flipped convertible. Although this video doesn't include footage of an actual crash, it's unbelievable nonetheless. Because, you see, this is what happens after a miracle has taken place during a car crash. You see that red convertible flipped over? Well, it hides a crazy little surprise underneath. And while people saw this car tumbling off the road, they immediately rushed over to lend a hand. Their joint effort managed to flip the car, and underneath the piece of smashed metal was the driver, completely unharmed. He was even smiling from ear to ear because he knew he had cheated death at that very moment. Number 5. Changing lanes. How not to do it. Now this is painful to watch, and it wasn't any of the driver's fault. It was basically because the bad weather conditions and the slippery roads. Namely, the driver lost control over his car and he slammed into the truck parallel to his vehicle. And if that's where it all ended, we would have been just as happy as ever, but it didn't. The SUV jumped out the first truck and slid onto the opposite lane where the truck smashed into it at full speed. And the car was turned into scrap metal. both the truck destroyed and the drivers. We can't imagine what must have happened to them. Number 4. The biggest WTF moment in driving. Now, this is one of those moments that even God went, "What in the world happened here?" And we're left to wonder whether or not it's actually physically possible. Just look at the car right in front of the camera, and now look to the left side of the driveway. You see the gray car that wants to cross into the other lane? Good. Now, it doesn't take a genius to realize that the driver is going to crash into the white minivan coming from the bottom right, but that's where the magic happens. Why? Because the car managed to avoid smashing into the white car, but he couldn't avoid slamming into the other side of the car next to him. And that car literally jumped into the incoming lane, smashing another car. This goes to show you that anything's possible while driving. Number 3. He went off-road, literally. And for number 3, we decided to include a little accident that happened during one race. Namely, the driver was a tad too fast for that curve, so he ended up going off the cliff. And just look how far that car tumbled away in the dirt and rocks. We knew the car was a goner, but we didn't really know what happened to the driver. Thankfully, from what we were able to see later in the video, we know he was A-okay when the paramedics rushed in to save him. So it turns out, luck does play a huge role in a person's life. Number 2. Screw the police. Now, this video is a prime example of what you shouldn't do when the police officer asks you to step out of the car, let alone 4 of them. For starters, when 4 police officers are pulling you over, that means you seriously messed up. And don't try to deny it. You might just end up in a worse mess than you actually are. And let's see what this guy did to be treated so roughly by the police. In South Carolina, one driver was pulled over by 2 police cars. He didn't really cooperate, to say the least. When they asked him to step out of the vehicle, he slammed his foot on the gas and smashed his SUV into a police car while the police officers were hanging onto the door handle. If that's not crazy enough for you, the person then drove off and smashed into other cars in the driveway. After a long chase, the cops called for reinforcements and they caught him in no time. And that's why you don't mess with the police. Number 1. Train versus double container truck. And of course, we saved the best for last. Initially, in this video, you see 2 giant trucks passing each other on the opposite sides of the street. While the first truck is actually trying to zap past train tracks, the other seems to have stopped right on the train tracks. And as you can see, disaster ensued shortly after. While the first truck managed to escape unscathed, the second one suffered one huge loss. Both of the containers were completely ripped off the head of the truck. Additionally, if you slow down the video, you will notice something crazy. When the speeding train smashed into the container of the truck, the aluminum shell burst like a water balloon hitting the wall. But in that catastrophe, the head of the truck and the driver were left unharmed. As you can see, a few moments later, the truck driver exits the vehicle, unhurt but a little shaken from what had happened. And that, people, is why you should stop before passing the train tracks. And on that note, we end this video. But hey, have you ever witnessed a crazy car crash in real life? You can tell us in the comment section below. If you'd like more videos like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.